Piali, Kolitlanesi, saludos a todos. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 5th annual United Nations Solution Summit.
Woo!
Thank you so much for being here. I'm grateful to each and every one of you for being here. My name is Shutesca Tonati Martinez. I'm 19 years old. I am the co-youth director of an organization called Earth Guardians. I'm the co-founder of Now, a hip-hop artist, a youth climate justice activist, and my people are the Mexica peoples of Mexico Tenochtitlan, Mexico City.
Thanks, Shutesca. Shutesca and I are going to co-moderate. My name is Megan Smith. I'm the CEO of Shift 7, which means and, if you type it. And I was the Chief Technology Officer for the United States, serving under President Obama. And I really believe in the doers of the world, and they're here, people like Shutesca and others. We co-organized Shift 7 with the United Nations Foundation and the Global Innovation Exchange together with the UN Secretary General's team at UN Local 2030. So we're here with the UN, inside the UN, with partners working together. And I want to hand it off to Shutesca to make a land acknowledgement.
For sure. And I think it's very important for us doing this work of honoring and preserving and protecting our planet, our people, our communities, to take the first step of acknowledging the land that we're standing on right now. And many of us operate every single day in many places in the world. And for all of us to take a second to acknowledge that we are on stolen land. We are on stolen indigenous land of the Lenape peoples, and they are a society of peoples who have survived and protected and cared for these waters and these earth for generations and continue to do so today in this city. These people are not gone. They have not been erased. They are not pieces of history. They are our relatives and are walking with us today in this work. And so it's very important for us to acknowledge the land that we stand upon. The work that we do must be in respect and honor of the original indigenous peoples that have been doing this work and protecting these territories for generations. So to open it up with that, I think is very appropriate. And from there...
Thank you. So, we got this incredible agenda, the global goals, the sustainable development goals. We work together as a planet, as governments, and as civil society, companies, individuals, youth, everyone, to make these goals. And one of the fastest ways to solve them is look around and see who already is solving the goals. So you can find us at SDG Solutions. Follow us. We're live stream. Hello, everybody in the world. Welcome. We have solution makers, and one of the groups, in addition to those who organize, our Shift 7 team, United Nations Foundation, wave at me, you're here. Thank you. The UN Local 2030 from the UN Secretary General's Office, and also the Global Innovation to Change. There are acceleration partners because every entrepreneur, innovator, solution maker can be helped by a network. So we want to
shout out Startup Bootcamp, National Geographic Lab, Social Innovation Warehouse, Innovators Box, Vital Voices, Social Impact Strategy, We Scale Impact, World Vision, Rutgers University, ZX Ventures.
And it's going on. There's a lot of people helping. Dev for X, Global Good, Humanitarian Tracker, Novozymes, University of Denver, Elemental Accelerator, Accountability Lab, Child Awareness Projects, Friends for Impact, Common.is.
Social Impact Strategy, Endicott College, Silicon Valley Social Ventures, Safe City, Humanitarian Tracker, Beeline Reader, Salesforce, SDG Philanthropy Platform, Google for Startups, Harvard University, and GLLI. Can we make some noise one time for all of our accelerators?
We also have people who are acceleration partners who coach and also provide funding. So we want to really thank the H&M Foundation, Google for Startups, Barclays, and Ericsson for giving us some of the fuel to be able to get people here and make this all work. So thank you very much. Yes, thank you. So a little bit about our format today. We're going to hear from extraordinary solution makers, and maybe you saw the TV show Shark Tank. This is going to be a little more dolphin tank. We want everyone to make it. They're going to come up. We'll introduce them. They're going to give a 4-minute pitch, and then we're going to role model what we do. How do we help an entrepreneur? People are going to come up and give them acceleration, advice, ideas, coaching, and then we'll go to the next. We're going to have 3 today. Today we're focused on environment, climate, solutions for our living planet, for us, how we can work together. And who better to bring up to kick off the day from our United Nations team, because one of the ideas of the UN Solution Summit is bring us all together as accelerators who have our own program, bring us all together as doers, but be inside our greatest institutions that we've had for dozens and dozens and many years and help make these institutions stronger and stronger and have them use these new practices. And so we have the leader of UN Environmental Program for New York. He's here. The Associate Secretary General is going to join us and welcome us today. Satya Tripathi, come on up. We welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you, and a very warm welcome to this gathering, which is actually what matters. Because there's a lot of people talking about the problem for a long time. It is time we talked about solutions. It is time we talked about the power of young people to imagine differently. Because old people are stuck in an old mindset that hasn't solved the problem. We've been talking for nearly 50 years. So we need to focus on solutions. I have one message. Climate change is an anthropogenic problem, which is us, humans. The problem won't be solved by institutions, governments. They have their part to play. But the biggest part to play is people. And there are champions in every community, every street, every college, every university. Everywhere you go, you see champions. We need to find, you mentioned about fuel, we need to find the fuel to get these champions to do what is right for the planet. And if we work with them, if we help them, we will find the solutions. And I know of 1,000 solutions because I meet these champions every day. And they are doing absolutely amazing work. But they need our support, not just lip service. They need resources, they need. Somebody was talking yesterday about vitamin M. They need money to make it happen. So we at UN Environment and the United Nations, we are with you in this journey. Anytime, feel free to call me. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Assistant Secretary General Satya Tripathi from UN Environmental Program. These programs are all over the world. The team is all over the world. And what we want to do is help his team know more about all of you. So we're about to move into main program.
I think just one thing I wanted to comment too about these incredible young innovators and people that are going to come and share their stories, their projects, that is so inspiring, I think, is this generation of people is really breaking down this linear narrative of what creating change looks like and showing us that it's not just activism in the streets, it's not just waiting for political leaders in seats of power or just waiting for the United Nations to take action. Everybody has their role to play, and that includes leaders, teachers, authors, storytellers, innovators, entrepreneurs, and I think you're going to see a diversity of representation from many of these different sectors that oftentimes weren't really spoken about in these situations. And now we're grateful to use the UN as a platform to be able to elevate these stories and these voices, to build connections, to accelerate the projects and the learning. And for me, as an artist, you know, the work that I do, I think now more than ever, we need more of that in our movement. So I'm just very hyped about all the people that are going to be coming up and sharing with you all.
Exactly. And the more confidence we can give to each other, and the more we can use each other to find each other who's help each other, the more we can accelerate what's already working. So first up, from Malaysia, and I want to shout out to all of our friends in all of Asia, you know, a very populated place full of genius colleagues on the planet. So from Malaysia, you know, today, here at the UN all over the world, we're going to eat a lot of food as a human population. There will be some waste. How should we think differently about that? And so Chelsea Chi from MAEKO, the stage is yours. Come on up.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan. Good morning. My name is Chelsea. I'm the founder of MAEKO. We came up with this tagline 5 years ago, from food waste to food fuel. Why? Because Malaysia is wasting 15,000 tons of food waste on a daily basis. But that's not just in Malaysia. I found out it was a global issue. 1.3 billion tons of food waste are generated each year globally. We saw the problem. 3 of us got together. I was taking care of the business strategy. We have May taking care of the microbes. We have Darren taking care of the engineering and product. What we did, we started in 2011, and we did our research and development. After that, in 2015, we deployed our first unit and pocketed our first revenue. This is how it is. Now, if I give you a composter and I say you can put in everything, all types of food waste, bones, raw waste, cooked waste, anything like shells and bones, and even compostable packaging, and what more, we can do it in just 24 hours compared to the conventional composting that does it in 60 days. All right, so we can compress and convert the food waste by 80%. We reduce it. If you put in 100 kilo of food waste today, you get 20 kilo of compost tomorrow. How do we do that? We took 5 years to perfect this technology. We combined both the mechanical and the biological together, give it the right parameters, the microbial activities, giving it a conducive environment to do its best and compost in a short period of 24 hours. So how did we do it? Let me show you a picture, a video. Now it's very simple. You just need to put all your food waste into the machine. Whether it's cooked, whether it's raw, whether you have bones, whether you have shell, whether you have compostable packaging. And it goes into the chamber. The microbes will take over the job, as you can see from here. And just an easy touch of the button, you can discharge the compost the very next day. All right, see, the compost is very dry and it's very easy to handle. As you can see from here, it's discharged. Okay. Oops. Right, okay. So we have designed this technology very easy. We have done it, and we are going to bring it to the city. Why? Because this centralization strategy, it is very suitable, and we make our users reduce their greenhouse gas by 66%, as well as the haulage cost by 30%. All right, you can see here we have solutions that we have deployed in schools, in hospitals, in wet markets, in communities as well. Right, so you're going to ask me, what is this compost going to be for? Now you can apply it to city landscaping, you can apply it to urban farming, for desert reclamation, and also an added ingredient for fish feed. Right, we support the following goals, 11, 12 and 13, and our compost can be applied to SDG goals 2 and 15. We are a sustainable and a closed-loop solution. You put your food waste into the machine, you get a compost, go back to the farm, produce your food again, and then the food waste goes back to the machine. All right, so we are here. We are here to scale up and grow. We're looking for partners in distribution, in global distribution, as well as waste contractors. We are looking for funders to fund our pilot projects for islands and up in the highlands as well. And we're also looking for global project investment for our home unit, which we are ready to deploy anytime and export globally. Thank you. That's from me today.
Yay! Yay! Thank you, Chelsea. That was amazing. Okay, one of the most important things about incredible entrepreneurial teams is not only what they think of and what they do, but all the people who can help, which is all of you. So we're going to welcome a couple acceleration partners up.
We would like to call up to the stage, yeah. Come on up, join us.
All right, come join us. Okay, you guys have some insights, ideas, feedback for Chelsea, yeah? Who wants to do it first?
I can go first.
And introduce yourself. Where are you?
Hi there. I'm Tina Petropoulos with World Vision. So Chelsea, this is really, really exciting. Can you tell me about the food waste, how much compost there is, and what you actually do with it afterwards?
Oh, okay. We have taken care of 4 million kilograms already up to now with our current partners. And what we do is now our compost is actually used for city landscaping and also for their premise landscaping. At the same time, we have used it for farms and nurseries. They pick it up from us and use it for their farming.
One thing also is I heard when we were talking that sometimes, like at the hospital or the school, it adds to the program, right? So the young people...
Yes, we bring the compost, bring it to the school, like for a CSR program. We run planting programs, tree planting and all this vegetable planting, and teach them that you can actually turn your food waste into compost with technology now. You don't need to wait for 60 days.
Terrific. Okay.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea. My name is Rochelle Haber-Thompson. I think it's so exciting and important what you're doing around engaging local governments. And so it seems as though you can show them that it's a really cost-effective and affordable way to for their waste disposal. So is there ways that you can engage local governments?
And how are you guys doing that already?
And how are you doing that?
Currently, we work together with our local municipal councils. They manage food courts and wet markets where they now purchase the unit from us and put it there for the stall owners to use. And they can put their food waste inside, and then the compost is used for their landscaping around the wet markets and also food courts.
Terrific.
Hi everyone. This is Rekha Pai Kamath. I'm a partner at Silicon Valley Social Ventures and on the board of Fast Forward, an accelerator for tech nonprofits. And I'm really so floored by the impact that you are able to create, because what is so impressive is that you started in 2011 and you've been able to get so much revenue traction. So I can see many use cases being generated from this technology, disruptive technology that's so critical to our climate action. So my question is, like, what other use cases do you see that can generate revenues, and what partnerships do you seek in these specific areas in terms of
And how can we help you? Yeah.
We're looking for local distributors. We're also looking for waste contractors to put this into one of their product in the range, where they can not only collect all solid waste, but now they can actually handle it and tackle it at source. You don't need to haul it away and pay a high cost for that. That's what we think is best.
Terrific. Chhattisgarh, we were talking about young people. You know, people of all ages are in the Solution Summit, but young people could feel like they could learn how to do some of the science and other things here. So I don't know if you have thoughts about how you guys approach this process. How did you think about reinventing so it would shorten the time?
Yeah, and just to add to that too, just like how I think building a bridge to engage young people in this work, I think is absolutely critical. And what is your vision around that too for engaging the younger members of our community?
We would like the young children to come in to understand it's a habitual shift. We need to tell them that you can segregate your food waste, and you must do that. In Asia, we need to do that. We always throw our things away. So what we do is we call them, we go into schools, we arrange programs. We had our composting on wheels going from school to school to teach them what they can do with their food waste. That's part of the programs that we run in schools.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Okay, let's hear it for the MAEKO team and our accelerator. Okay. All right. So next up, we're going to hear from one of the partners that does a lot of acceleration, works with entrepreneurs, and that's the team from Google for Startups. And so Amrita here to join Chhattisgarh and I.
Hey, thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So we were talking a little bit about, ecosystems that support entrepreneurs, and you're working with entrepreneurs all around. Can you talk a little bit about how Solution Summit, why did you guys come in? How does this relate to the work? Tell us more about Google for Startups.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. So Google for Startups, our mission broadly is to help startups all over the world. We work with entrepreneurs like Chelsea and her team, and we're in over 100 different countries. And part of our model is about working with ecosystem players, so people on the ground who know their communities, who can be that connective tissue and making sure that they're helping startups on their journey. So even just now, and over this weekend, hearing from Chelsea, there are companies that we're working with in Atlanta that are also working on food surplus. Our partner in Tech Hub London has a couple companies in this space, and so my job and part of my job is to connect her with those other ecosystem players.
When you say ecosystem, sometimes people might not always know that there's like places in many cities where entrepreneurs meet, or there's communities using the web, like Meetup and others, where you could search and find colleagues who are doing something like you. How do people find the different places that Google for Startups and Microsoft, all these teams that are working with entrepreneurs? Yeah. How do they find them?
So for sure, the easy answer is go to our website, startup.google.com. You'll see all the different communities that we're in. You'll also see all the products and programs that we offer for startups, specifically for entrepreneurs on their journey at different stages. But chances are, the world has changed. changed, and there is definitely a community wherever you are. It's not the case, it hasn't been the case for a long time that innovation is happening only in Silicon Valley. It's happening everywhere, and you're going to see that today and the rest of this week. And we bet on that 8 years ago, and we're still betting on it pretty strong.
Definitely. Thank you for your perspective. I just wanted to ask, too, I think in this space, climate is becoming more and more of a present conversation, I think, at every level of society, from politically to corporations, to individuals in our households, in our schools, with our families. I think there's sometimes kind of this misconception that, large corporations like Google or like Amazon or like whoever, it's hard sometimes for people to understand the role that they have to play in this, because we often, vilify the corporate sector, when I think now more than ever it's important to bring and include that perspective and leverage those resources, especially kind of in the startup sector. So can you just speak a little bit on like why you think building bridges between these different sectors of society is important, and the role of a company like Google?
Yeah, well, there's two pieces to that, actually. So the first is that there's the sustainability efforts within Google, which are definitely worth checking out. And actually, we just did a blog post recently about some of the innovations that we're using in our data centers so that we actually can be carbon neutral or carbon negative in the work that we do. And that's about Google, and I don't want to overspeak that, because my work is with entrepreneurs. We believe that connecting the innovators on the ground, the people like Chelsea and team who are in Malaysia and other places, are the ones that are able to also innovate in other ways. So while we kind of take a two-pronged approach, one is Google and our efforts in sustainability, and then also supporting and enabling entrepreneurs on the ground everywhere they are.
Amazing.
And you come from entrepreneurship, originally, and a university spin-out. And so I like, universities, the United Nations, libraries, physical places all around our planet. We can meet up and do new things. We can meet up and have entrepreneurs have acceleration sessions like we did this weekend with each of the entrepreneurs. We're coaching them and hearing from them, work on presentations. So getting into community organizing in the innovation sector is a real opportunity for everybody. And you have places all over the world, and you also support, I know, people who, and you and others like you, support those who have places for meeting up and innovating together.
Yeah, exactly right. So we're all over the world. We're, from Stockholm to Gaza to Mexico City. Like I said, this is happening everywhere, and this format and the dolphin tank is something that I think feels very familiar, because I think that is the model for supporting people, for being a community, and for getting entrepreneurs to reach their full potential.
Cool. Then tomorrow we're going to hear from Women Techstars, which is a Nigeria-based team that's doing the same kind of thing. So thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you both.
Okay. Next up.
How's everybody feeling so far? Yeah. I'm so inspired. I'm so stoked to be here. It's truly been a pleasure. I began this work when I was 6 years old. So for the last 13 years, seeing kind of the evolution of this space and of this conversation has been just absolutely eye-opening. And I'm really, really inspired to be introducing the next innovators that are going to come and share in a really beautiful way. As I mentioned at the beginning, one of the main ways that I tap in and I do my work with the world and connecting and inspiring and engaging is through art, is through music. I truly believe in the power that, and have seen the power that these mediums have to really connect and build bridges and really break down barriers in our culture. I think this is so much more than just a shift of energy or a shift of technology, but really a shift of culture and of human hearts and human minds. And I think this next project is a really powerful example of how that is being implemented and shared, and those stories are being uplifted across the board, especially when it comes to tapping in with young people and with youth that really need to be at the forefront of this conversation, for them to really realize that these young people aren't just activists, but they have roots in art and creativity and music, that all these different spaces for the acceleration of that work is absolutely critical. And so I've just been talking to our next innovator named Rex Molapo from Conservation Music in Lesotho, and she's based in Lesotho. And we were chopping it up just outside previously, walking over here, learning about the work that Conservation Music is doing of empowering local communities across the globe and a lot in Africa on everything from language preservation through the art of sharing and storytelling and music, looking at inspiring and empowering the young members of the community through music to engage in the most important issues of our time on education and environment. And so would everybody please join me in giving a round of applause to Rex from Conservation
come on
Music.
Up. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Kulisa masengo nkulakwa upaya nyama kushoka sanga na kumfulako Hello, everyone. My name is Reekeditso Molapo. I'm Africa Director of Conservation Music, and what you see here is a music video that we did in Zambia that was a great hit. So we cannot deny the fact that environmental breakdown is already starting to affect people at the moment as we speak. And the very fact that the same people who are on the front lines of this environmental breakdown lack enough information on how to mitigate or even adapt to these issues. And I know from personal experience the power of music as an educational tool, but unfortunately it's not being used to its full potential. So how do we solve this? We solve this by enlisting global artists and activating youth to work on their local issues in their local communities. We have people working on the ground in local communities to localize SDGs. And lastly, we create music in local languages and genres that the communities we're working with can most relate to, and making sure that the environmental issues that we're advocating for are best heard. So we do this in various ways. We do this through public media. We do this through events, hosting eco-concerts and musical workshops. We also do this through solar cinemas, going out to schools and different communities and screening environmental education information. We are working on an app and going to put that app on the tablets. And then we're also advocating, we're also engaging decision makers and politicians to ensure that these issues are paid attention to. And lastly, we're building this big global network of youth volunteers and musicians to advocate for environmental education. So our progress so far, we have worked with 113 performers and sorry about that. We are working with 113 performers together with 102 volunteers to produce 24 productions. And we have learned that there's a 77% learning ratio from the pre-service that we've done and the post-service that we've done with the communities that we're working with. And we've engaged about 10,000 plus people directly on the ground on the African continent. So this is an example of the countries that we're working in, and we are setting up local chapters in. So we would like to invite you to join our musical revolution, to join the movement in order for us to continue doing the work that we're doing, in order for us to scale, to continue doing educational media production, to continue creating curriculums for the app development, and having help with tablet distributions, and capacitating the volunteers that we're working with on the ground. And lastly, we would like to pay the volunteers that we're working with on the ground. So we're looking for collaborators, partners, and people who can assist us with funding. If you'd like to engage with us more, you can go onto these media pages and also find me on my email address. Thank you so much.
Woo. Incredible, incredible, right? Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you, Rex.
I'm so inspired. We're going to bring up the next group of accelerators to come in, instigate some questions, some feedback, some ideas. So please come on up and join us.
Welcome.
Cheers.
Welcome.
Make some noise for our accelerators.
So
who would like to begin?
Again, it takes a network to accelerate. This is a network solution, right? We're going to use music, communities, genius, community organizing with music. Thank you. Okay, so how do we accelerate? What ideas, resources, funding, things can you share?
No, Rex, so I'm super pumped
say who
about
you are.
this. My name's Monica King, founder and CEO of Innovators Box. And as someone who works in creativity, this is such a powerful way to empower across. So curious to know, because you already have a lot of people you're working with, are there particular partners that you're looking to build more relationships, different maybe communities, ways that you can continue to grow? Because this message and the type of approach you're doing is so unique. How can partners help you scale to get to that next level?
Thank you so much, Monica, for that question. We are looking for partners in the development space. We're looking for international development partners. Your UN agencies can assist us to grow the impact that we have on the continent. We want to engage more communities. We want to go out to more schools. We want to partner with environmental NGOs in the different countries that we're already already have a presence in. And we want to even go into the other parts of the continent. We want to work in Asia. We want to work in South America. We don't want to just end on the African continent. So we would like people who can be able to connect us in those areas, who can be able to say we have communities that you can work with here. And as it is at the moment, we were talking with one of the solution makers who's excited about this, who's like, come to Colombia. We know we already have a group of people we're working with that you can that we can collaborate and work together on ensuring that environmental education gets out there, but in this creative way. So we're looking for people who can assist us like that. Yes.
Terrific. Yeah, Science Clubs Colombia will be up tomorrow, and they're such a good partner already there. Who's Susan? All right, okay.
So Rex, actually, two things that I learned from working with you over the weekend that weren't in there. One was that the song that we got to hear is like super popular in Zambia, and kids were singing it in villages when you would go visit them. So I want to hear a little bit more about that. But also, I want to hear more about your story, because one thing that we learned is that music is a motivator for so many of us. But for you, that's actually what brought you into this work. So I'd love to hear that. And for those who don't remember, if you have memories like mine, I'm Amrit Deer from Google for Startups.
Thank you. So starting with the question of my story. A few years ago, I was involved in the music industry, but I left it because the industry culture was not in line with my personal values. And then years later, I met the conservation music team doing this great work. I said, this is amazing. I love what you guys are doing. And I felt the urge to actually get back to the music industry, but this time around, freeing my voice for social change. And that's how I got back into working in the music space. But this time, like for social change. So yes, that's how I got to start working back in the music industry. And then what you said about the communities that we go into, how the song was a hit, the Zambian hit. It was playing every day after the news on television, as we were told by our teammates who are based in Zambia. And yes, like when we went out into the communities, the children were excited when they saw the conservation music team. They were singing, say, Samalilani. So they were excited. And it shows how music can stay on and linger on, even when you're gone. And when you come back, people remember you and remember the messages that you were spreading through the music that you're using. So yes.
Terrific. Susan. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Hi, everyone. Susan Alsner, currently with Shift 7, one of the co-founders of UN Solution Summit. And I worked at the UN for 8 years, and I started my career as a photographer in the music industry. And when I first came to the UN, a lot of people literally said out loud to me, how did you get this job? And, and so what I discovered was that my time in the music industry was the most relevant work I had done for my work at the UN, and it had to do with storytelling, and it had to do with communication, and it had to do with the power of art and creativity and reinvention. And so a suggestion I have for you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, is how to link what you're doing. I think you could really link what you're doing, as Shutescott is, with youth leadership training, to really be engaging in a multiplicity of ways, from music into the political sphere even, to really kind of shake up what the dialogue is like inside institutions.
I totally agree with you. I think it's important for us to use creative and innovative approaches to tackling the environmental issues that we currently have, and generally even the world problems that we're dealing with today, because music has that power to actually reach to people's emotions, and it has that power to inspire people to take action, which is what we've also seen from our work, because we don't just go there and perform, but we also measure the impact to say, okay, where were you before we started? Now, where are you after we've engaged with you? So I think it's a powerful tool to use. And people are tired of sitting in workshops where things are done conventionally and someone is standing in front of you and telling you this, that, but they want engaging ways and finding solutions in a collaborative way, where you're engaging them to say, what do you think about this? How do we solve this? And then creating the song together in their local language that speaks to their heart. So that's really powerful. I think it's a powerful medium to use for education.
Amazing. I just had one more thing. Working the last 2 years much more heavily in the music industry as an artist, partnering, collaborating with a variety of some of the really just incredible artists that are thinking very much so in the direction of how can we use our platforms to elevate, to create change, to build impact. And I think we can also feel that very much so in the global sphere of music. Some of the biggest stars in the music industry are leveraging their platform to talk about social issues. Whether it's like Billie Eilish's last video that had like 50 million views in the first couple of days, and she was shouting out the climate strikes that were happening worldwide, and she was shouting out climate action and the importance of actually this convergence at the United Nations to Lil Dicky's video like Earth, and so artists are kind of on the tip of understanding that as cultural figures they have a significant role to influence further than just creating entertainment. And I guess my question to you would be like, what would be your call to action for them to help leverage the work that you're doing, or to help further the work that they're doing to use their platform for something more meaningful than just being a part of this industry?
I think I would like them to also start collaborating with local artists because that's really important. When people see familiar faces, yes, there's this global artists that they all know, but also working with local artists helps a lot. And the very point that I made, that I think it's important that they also engage with people in their local languages, such that people are able to understand these issues much more on a deeper level. It's not just an abstract thing, but they localize it. So I think artists, global artists and famous artists need to start engaging the grassroots communities in creating this change, and not just addressing the problem at the macro level, but they need to go deeper, go down there and engage with the communities. So that's how I would like them to engage.
So it's like, yes, and so join in conservation music. I was a child in Buffalo, New York, Niagara Falls region, and when we were young, the Great Lakes were in horrible shape. And the communities work together to really, and it's really quite different. It's getting better, so it's hopeful. And I wish we had had conservation music and the music with it, because it would have brought that whole element of creating engagement. So it's very incredible and ingenious solution. Thank you, everybody. We're going to go to the next one. Go Rex, go team. Join these guys, conservation music. And if you have ideas, tweet us at SDG Solutions and tell us what things you want to get involved here with everybody. Okay.
Up next, we're going to invite another accelerator that has experience in this work, doing really incredible things with Barclays. Can we please have Mark Tang come and join us?
Thank you.
Mark, welcome.
Thank you.
In addition to bringing, the power of financial support and also coaching entrepreneurs on capital and finance, I know you also partner with one of our other acceleration partners, the Unreasonable Group. I think Dave and others are here. Shout out.
Wave, Dave.
Who coach entrepreneurs. One of the things in the UN Solutions Summit, we bring all the different groups that coach entrepreneurs together in a UN context to work together and then flow people into these programs. So just thank you for also Vitamin M, some money and financial support for us to do this. But talk to us a little bit about what you guys are doing and how you're thinking about financing and other kinds of coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. And firstly, thank
From
you,
Barclays,
Megan. It's great to be here again. Our second year involved with the Solutions Summit, so we're delighted to be involved. Really is a true honor to be sharing a dolphin tank with you today. And incredibly inspiring just to hear some of these solutions already we've heard today and been involved over the few days of the summit. You cannot fail to be inspired by the positivity and the optimism by talking to some of these solution makers. So it's a privilege to be here. So yeah, at Barclays, we do work with the Unreasonable Group. We are focused on employability and recognize that entrepreneurs, solution makers not only represent probably some of the greatest opportunities we have to solve some of these big problems at scale, but also represent the next generation of job creators, employers. So by supporting entrepreneurs, we get to hopefully help scale solutions and create jobs. With Unreasonable Impact, we have partnered with the Unreasonable Group to support 250 companies in the next 5 years to help scale. We're looking at growth stage companies in the green economy, companies like biocarbon engineering, who I know you also work with through the Solutions Summit, who are hoping to plant 1 billion trees a year to reforest the planet.
Let's pause on them. Biocarbon engineering was in the first Solutions Summit.
Yes.
And think about drones. They're using drones to rapid fire seedlings into the ground. And their idea is to be able to plant 1 billion trees a year using drone technology.
They can plant 400,000 trees a day with just 2 operators on this drone. It's unreal.
Yeah. And Jessica, you guys are involved in tree planting work too. So the fact that we can finance and support a business as well as individually get out there. Didn't Ethiopia plant 350 million trees this year as a collective group? It's an opportunity.
Yeah,
so
very cool.
Thank you so much for your support, for your teamwork, and for how you guys are thinking about entrepreneurs. How can people connect with you? What should they do?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. we see increasingly our clients, both on the public and the private side, looking to mobilize capital in this space. I think ESG investing, there's like 20 trillion of assets now under management, which is a quarter of all privately managed assets across the world. So if you're looking to put money into impact investments, to put capital towards sustainable solutions, there's an increasing number of funds, there's an increasing number of ways you can get involved. From an unreasonable impact perspective and what we do at Barclays, it's all about how we can help tap into our networks to help these companies and these solution makers scale. So join us on the journey, unreasonableimpact.com. Come find us November 7th in London. We have a similar dolphin tank to this with amazing solution makers on stage, so please come find us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. So Shateskat and thought we'd just very quickly share how did all these people show up here. So there's this thing called a web form. So we posted a web form, a simple approach. And we just asked, who out there in the world, this was in July, who is already solving the global goals? The first year we did it, right after ratification, 1 hour after ratification, entrepreneurs took the stage here at the UN. Amina Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General of the UN, joined us then. And we had about 800 people who told us what they were doing. This year, 40% increase, 1,400 people told us what they were already doing to solve the goals. And lots of people signed up to join the selection committee. And the selection committee was an open process where people could sign up and help choose. And of course, we're at the United Nations, so we want gender balance, place balance, geo balance, topic balance, all kinds of entrepreneurs from every different walk of life, because we know there are doers and solution makers everywhere. If you're one, tell us more and join for next year. So that's how these people get here, and then the UN does a final selection and we're in. So next up, our final solution maker for today. We'll be back tomorrow with some more, and on Thursday, 11 to 12. So we just, Shateskat got to talk to Dennis a little bit beforehand, and I don't know if you had any quick thoughts about this amazing thing, climate smart farms from Garden Pool.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the innovation across the board is absolutely like inspiring to hear these stories of people that are really actualizing and starting from really small, humble places. You know, I was hearing his story just about how this really began in his backyard in a swimming pool, literally, and from there kind of scaled and created and was able to go viral, and now implementing solutions to a whole variety of different problems across the globe. And I think one of the important things in the day that we're living in too is like, how do we leverage this new technology and these brilliant ideas to solve multiple problems at once and to address multiple of these SDGs at once? And so I think, yeah, I mean, that's I guess like where that work for me has been really inspiring, to kind of be in the space and learn a little bit more about what you're doing.
It's incredible to think that so many people on islands are suffering already from climate. We see this in the Caribbean, and it's one of the places that Dennis is working in the Caribbean. He's from Arizona, and we're going to welcome him to the stage and really want to notice when you hear this amazing solution. This is possible now. This is here now. We can accelerate this with all of our partners, find those doers. So without further ado, Dennis McClung, Garden Pool.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Dennis McClung, and I'm with an NGO called Garden Pool. Let's see. And the solution we're going to present today is called the Climate Smart Farm. 80% of the world's hungry live in places prone to natural disasters. Climate-related disasters. Extreme weather events have doubled in the past 30 years, and they project that over 100 million people will be put into hunger and poverty by 2030 just from climate-related events. So our solution has humble beginnings. Like someone mentioned before, it started 10 years ago in my backyard with an empty swimming pool, where my family created a closed-loop ecosystem that produced a lot of food with very little external inputs. So we took these design principles and scaled it up for the Climate Smart Farm, which uses 98% less water than conventional agriculture and actually increases yields 10 to 18 times compared to conventional technology in the fields. And the most important part about the Climate Smart Farm is that it's resilient to the effects of climate change, whether it be floods, soil erosion, drought, saltwater intrusion, and also hurricanes. So we developed the Climate Smart Farm so it's easy for farmers to implement in stages. The first stage is to create a pond where we capture rainwater, we stock it with fish, we retrofit existing buildings with solar panels and rain collection, and then provide micro-irrigation to the farmers. We put this to good use in Suriname. Here you can see the northern coast where most of the farms are. They've destroyed most of the mangroves. They lost kilometers of their soil. And now the farmers are suffering from saltwater intrusion. So here's a drone shot of a farm where we visited. We designed the climate smart farms in 3D modeling with virtual reality so I could actually walk around the farm and easier to implement in the field. Okay? Once the farmer has step 1 of the climate smart farm, it's easy to move on to step 2, where we integrate a aquaponic greenhouse, and that's when we get the incredible yields. And as you can see, in 1 meter, we have 6 rows instead of 2, and then 6 more on top of that, and 6 more on top of that. And so what the system does is it actually recycles nutrient water, using 98% less water. You can actually pack them in closer because it's a soilless system. And if the farmer knows a hurricane's coming, they could actually pick up the crops and move it with crops and all. So we put this into good use in Barbuda, island of the Caribbean that was devastated by a Category 5 hurricane. I was dispatched to the only surviving school in the whole country, Sir Chesney George Secondary School. And this is the design we came up with that captures a lot of solar energy, water, and then produces a lot of food. This is a picture before we put the shade cloth on. And some of the best technology we actually brought was our 3D modeling and 3D printing skills. So when you're doing disaster response, I was camping there for 30 days, no electricity, no water. And we taught the school how to replicate, how to teach, how to model. And we actually manufactured the parts for the Climate Smart Farm right there in the field. Okay? So we have the ability also to take recycled plastics, chip it up, and manufacture our own filament. And so once we have this, we have the sustainable manufacturing, so we can do a little more than just make climate smart farms. It's very empowering. So we scaled this up to the industrial size in Puerto Rico after they had a Category 5 hurricane, which seems to be very normal now. I had a client with a 10,000 square foot hurricane-proof factory that survived the storm, so we built an industrial size scale. This is for commercial purpose. It's $1 million startup that produces $7 to $10 million per year. And now the island of Puerto Rico has food, energy, and water regardless of what kind of hurricane comes through. So we look at climate smart farms as not only the most productive climate resilient farming system out there, but we feel that it's also a battery for the community that stores energy. It also produces a lot of food. It also has the ability to harvest and store water, and it has the ability to replicate and maintain its own self through sustainable manufacturing. We believe it's also full of profits as well. And it's going to help us achieve many SDG goals. So what Garden Pool is looking to do is to bring our technology that we developed out of the Caribbean on into the rest of the Western Hemisphere, partnering with institutions, governments, and we want to bring it to the Eastern Hemisphere as well, because we believe in doing so, it'll provide resilience for the world. Thank you for listening to my presentation on the Climate Smart Farm. For more information, please visit our website, gardenpool.org. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is incredible. Let's just do that. Like everywhere. Okay, we want to welcome our accelerators. Come on up. And so we're going to hear from accelerators. Again, if you're on live stream or even later watching at SDG Solutions, send ideas, solutions, anything you want to share with Dennis and all of us. Okay, so what do you guys have?
Hi, I'm Matlabani from Startup Bootcamp Afritech, based in Cape Town, South Africa. And Dennis, really love your solution. It goes into very vulnerable communities, especially post-disaster. And with the imminent threat that we are facing currently with climate change, I think it's really, really needed that we replicate this and accelerate this as fast as possible, build resilience in communities, especially at their most vulnerable places.
Thank you.
Dennis, I'm Chandler from Elemental Accelerator based in Honolulu. I absolutely love what you're doing, and I think it has profound effects, around the world. But what you touched on in your presentation as well, it sounds like you're actually inspiring entrepreneurs around the world and in communities that often need it the most. Was hoping you could maybe give us some examples or speak to some of the entrepreneurship and innovation you're bringing to communities around the world.
Sure, thank you. Well, once we have this technology, we enable the community to be entrepreneurs themselves. So some of the cool things we've done is one of the world's first fully 3D printed beehives. We also
3D
have
beehive?
3D printed
beehives.
Yep. We can make it from garbage too. And then we also have another device that can sterilize 5 gallons of water to World Health Organization standards to make it potable in 15 minutes. You could also charge your cell phones and laptops with it. So we do believe that it's capacity to development and providing resilience for the communities that we implement this in.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Hi, Bridget Gosling, google.org. Thanks so much for the work you're doing, Dennis. To Megan's point, it's sort of like, why don't we just have this everywhere? And I think one of the things that's really amazing about the way that you're deploying this is that it's really flexible and adaptable, and that you're doing it in deep partnership with local communities and in collaboration across a network of different local organizations, which allows what could seem like this really high-tech, hard-to-create solution to actually be accessible in so many of the different communities that you're working in. I wondered if you could just share with us a few of the different types of organizations that you've collaborated with, because it's such a diverse group, and I think it really helps to illustrate the ways in which all of us could be helping you to bring this solution to more folks and really do it in a way that is working with local networks and with local activations so that the solution is lasting.
Yeah, thank you. We've partnered with other NGOs. I can go to their HQ, like in Haiti, and rock it and leave them with tons of technology, running water, electricity, et cetera. We've partnered with institutions that help facilitate meetings with governments. We've worked with a lot of schools. I engage a lot of youth. We have a fantastic program where we teach college students how to replicate this, and they can do internship programs with us, their culminating experience, doctoral thesis, et cetera. So we find that if we get to tell people about our solution, they're very receptive to it. So.
Love it. Thank you, Dennis, very much. My name is Monica King from Innovators Box. And what also echoing everyone's message, you have a solution that's from the get-go a collaborative solution. And I think that's so powerful because you're already thinking about multi-generation, multi-impact of multiple aspects of how you can empower and bring a tangible solution. But I know this can be done in more ways, and you're looking for more partners in addition to the existing collaboration and always looking for creative solutions, which I'm always excited about hearing more. So curious, do you have some top list of like, these are partners that I'm looking to connect more to get this current work to the next impact level?
Absolutely. Here at the United Nations in particular, I would love to work with the United Nations High Council Refugee Innovation, United Nations Environmental Program, United Nations Developmental Program. Other developing countries that would like to bring this technology, and other institutes that would like to partner with me as well.
Yeah, and there are already so many extraordinary folks that you work with. You know, some of the women in the Caribbean that you talked about in partnership and what they bring with their inventions, and you put that together. One of my favorite things is the fact that you're going and getting waste plastic and grinding it up and then putting it through this 3D printer, which is now part of a farm idea, right? But there's a 3D printer. Who thought of that? And making things, like you said, the beehive, other things as well. And many of the partners have come with those ideas and now are cross-sharing across this network. So it's really, it can accelerate itself. So thank you so much. And I really appreciate our acceleration partners. Mo has been here every year, so I just want to shout him out for coming from Africa as a coach. So thank you, Dennis, for your genius work. Okay, we're coming near the end.
And that was just 3 of how many were submitted?
We got 1,400 submissions. Over 900 of them were solution makers telling us of things they're already doing. Genius colleagues around the planet from everywhere, 141 countries, and about 400 people who wanted to help with the selection and the acceleration.
There's no shortage of solutions. There's no shortage of brilliance, of entrepreneurship, of ideas, of passion, of love. You know, and I see and I look at the work that is being done, and I see how excited many of these people are when we are talking about this work, because it really is, I think, founded in a place of this vision of the world that we can create, what we know is possible, that we can build together. And I really believe that it's moving away from this like fearful, reactive conversation and acknowledging that the place we have to go from here is building the bridge, you know, moving forward. I've been doing this work for a long time, and to see and to hear and to feel this energy that is continuing to bubble up and continuing to be supported by different spaces and to be offered this stage is just absolutely inspiring for me, for my generation. I think another thing that's really important to note is this is a very intergenerational movement. This is a very intergenerational initiative. In moment in human history, where I think it's going to be the balance of a lot of the knowledge and wisdom in the old ways of not just the elders in the older generation, but of the ancestral peoples that have been, you know, with a lot of these solutions. And that's another thing that's, I think, really important for us to acknowledge, is a lot of these technologies and these new ways are actually remembering, you know, old ways that indigenous peoples have been practicing to live in balance with nature and with earth and with humanity for generations, you know. And so now, as we are reimagining what our societies can look like, It's this balance of technology, innovation, creativity, and also, a remembering of many of the old teachings that are going to be more relevant now than they have in generations. And so I'm excited for this time. I'm excited for this moment. I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank all of our innovators. I want to thank all of our accelerators. And I think this is a powerful platform that is going to continue. This is not the end. Each and every one of you has a way that you can plug in, support, help, offer connections, resources, finances, however it is, to these projects, and the thousands of other projects out there, the millions of other people, leaders, youth that are working on the front lines of this movement to do incredible things, to build bridges, and to carry us into this next wave of the future, because we are in a very dire moment. And the crisis that we face, from the ecological, the environmental, to the social justice, to many of these different things that we are facing are very important. And they're calling on humanity to bring its best. And I think that's what we have here, and that's what we are going to continue to see as we carry this vision out into the future. So appreciate each and every one of you for coming through.
Yeah, thank you. It's interesting to think about, 5 years ago when the UN met to ratify the SDGs. I want people to be really encouraged by the genius we just heard by 3 people today who are joining over 50 who've already taken the stage in each of the past years. We also did one on Nairobi this year, and also teamed up a little bit with the Hawaiian Green Growth folks and GLISPA, the island folks for Islands of Innovation. I see Nina from University of Denver. They've taken this model. They're doing it in Colorado. This is a way of doing things. And what I loved about the UN in that first year, when we came with this idea, Susan Alsner, who was at UN Non-Government Liaison Service, I was in the White House, now we're in Shift 7 with others. We had this idea. And we came to the United Nations Foundation, Kathy Calvin, and said, would you team with us? And together, Susan went to the Secretary General's office, and they said yes. And so I want us to take the encouragement that we can take these incredible institutions. The UN is so important for all of us. It's the way we're connected in a structured way. But we always have to modernize it. And we have an internet, and we have web forms. Wow, how simple. And a web form can generate us to know about each other? That's unbelievable, right? And so now we're connected, and people came to join us. The solution makers, you saw Mo, he's been here from the beginning, and others. The acceleration partners, those with vitamin M, some money, our partners like H&M Foundation, the Google for Startups, the Barclays folks, the Ericsson folks, and those before who've supported us with financing and coaching, and the acceleration partners who not only help now, 90-minute sessions this week for each entrepreneurs, coaching and lifting them in the groups that each have their own program, but they came together to lift together and learn from each other. So it's such an opportunity to use the collective genius of all of us together with our greatest institutions like the United Nations, and in the spirit of Eleanor Roosevelt and Nelson Mandela and all those who have lifted in our world. How do we do that? So you in the internet, we love you, and you can come back to us with even more ideas for these solution makers at SDG Solutions. Talk to us, learn more, share these out. And also tomorrow we'll be back here with 4 incredible solution makers who are working on sort of things to help accelerate confidence and skills and those things. And on Thursday, again, with health and wellness. And, Shateska, you have been working personally, like so many, and I thank you for coming in solidarity with us together. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.